Hello everyone. In this video, you're going to learn about intertrochanteric femur fractures in a super simplified way. In this video, we're going to see what is this fracture and what is the age group where it is common, why there is a need for early surgery in this fracture, how to evaluate this fracture, how to classify intertrochanteric fractures, and what are the management options. Welcome to Vids Made Simple. Before starting, hit the subscribe button because we are going to upload a lot of orthopedic surgery videos which will be helpful for you to build your concepts. Subscribe so that you won't miss out any of our videos. Intertrochanteric means between the trochanters. So intertrochanteric fractures occur between the greater and lesser trochanters. It is extracapsular, means this area is present outside the hip joint capsule. This area is usually rich in blood supply by the cancellous blood vessels, unlike neck of femur fractures which are intracapsular and have high risk of injuring the blood supply to head of femur. That's why neck of femur fractures are prone to develop non-union and avascular necrosis of head of femur. Intertrochanteric fractures are common in women than men, especially the elderly population. It is more common in women than men due to the metabolic changes in bone, that is osteoporosis, which occurs in postmenopausal women. Now, why early surgery is required in this fracture? If the elder population is bedridden for prolonged duration, they are prone to develop complications such as deep vein thrombosis, pneumonia, basal atelectasis, pressure ulcers like bed sores, and malunion. Hence, the goal is early surgery and early mobilizations, or we can put it like early bed to wheelchair shifting. At presentation, you will usually notice the affected limb attitude to be shortened and externally rotated, along with which varus can be noted, which means the distal limb is adducted. The deforming forces of the muscles will cause flexion, external rotation, and abduction of the proximal fragment, and adduction, shortening of the distal fragment. At the ER, when you see the patient, assess the vitals such as blood pressure, pulse rate, oxygen saturation. The elderly are prone for dehydration and malnourishment, hence assess for that as well, so it could be addressed along with fixing the fracture. At first, skin traction is applied in the lower limb in the affected side and connected to weights, which can provide some pain relief and can reduce the deforming forces little bit. X-ray pelvis is taken in the ER. AP view and cross-table lateral views are obtained. Along with that, traction and internal rotation view is obtained, where a person holds the lower limbs by ankle and gives inline traction and internally rotates the limb. This will revert the deforming forces and helps to visualize the fracture pattern properly in a better way. To classify, we can use the AO or Orthopedic Trauma Association, the OTA classification, where we basically divide it into three types: A1, A2, and A3. A1 type is the stable type, A2 and A3 are unstable types. A2 type is the one which is quite unstable because of the comminution, especially posteromedial comminution, which can make the reduction unstable. A3 type is the most unstable one, which is reverse oblique type. As you can see, the fracture line starts lower down laterally and goes up medially, which is opposite direction to the usual intertrochanteric fractures. A1's classification is quite important to know. It assesses the stability of the fracture after reduction of the fracture, means how stable the fracture is after reduction. So it divides the intertrochanteric fractures into stable and unstable types. CT pelvis can be taken to delineate the fracture pattern and plan surgery. MRI is very rarely indicated in IT fractures. It can be helpful to identify occult fractures which aren't seen on X-rays. Management options are conservative and surgical management. Conservative management means treating without surgery. It can be done in undisplaced fractures, patients who are fragile due to their medical condition or age, and non-ambulatory patients who are already bedridden, where there is no much added benefit of undergoing surgery. The two common implants used are dynamic hip screw and proximal femoral nails. Dynamic hip screw has a side plate which sits on the lateral aspect of femur bone, through which a lag screw is passed in the femoral neck. Another screw, which works as anti-rotation screw, can be placed above the screw, which will prevent failure by rotation. Dynamic hip screw can be used in stable fracture patterns. Proximal femoral nails are the alternatives to dynamic hip screw. They are intramedullary implants and they are load-sharing devices, so they are more stable than dynamic hip screw. Hence, they are the preferred implants in unstable IT fractures. PFN has 3 generations. Example of older generation, first generation PFN nails are the gamma nails. Second generation nails are the PFN nails, which has a lag screw and an anti-rotation screw. Third generation nail is the PFN A2 nail, which is a better advancement of the second generation nails. This is one post-op X-ray of a surgery which I did, and here I have used a second generation PFN nail, which has a lag screw which is placed inferiorly and it provides compression at the fracture site. The above screw also goes through the nail and it is the anti-rotation screw, which prevents failure by rotation. We should try to keep the length of anti-rotation screw lesser than lag screw. The third generation PFN A2 stands for PFN anti-rotation 2. Here, a single helical blade is used which provides lag and prevents rotation. This is also one of my post-op X-rays. The advantage of PFN A2 is that it compacts the surrounding cancellous bone while inserting the helical blade, and hence it is very beneficial in osteoporotic patients. Some concepts you need to know are tip apex distance. How to calculate it? First, you need to measure the distance between the tip of lag screw to apex of the femoral head. Measure this distance in anteroposterior and lateral views and add both values. This total distance should be less than 25 mm to avoid cutoff of the lag screw. And how to tell if the reduction is a positive, neutral, or negative reduction? Positive reduction means the proximal femur, means the head and neck of femur, is more anterior as compared to the rest of femur after fixation. Negative reduction means the proximal femur, means the head and neck of femur, is more posterior as compared to the rest of the femur after fixation. Neutral reduction means the proximal femur, which is the head and neck of femur, is in line with the rest of femur after fixation. Now that we came to the end of the video, please hit the like button, share this to your groups and friends, and subscribe for more such videos. You can download this PPT, the link is in comment section. You can watch more videos here and don't forget to subscribe for more such videos and to not miss out any of our upcoming orthopedic surgery videos. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video.